Welcome to Casual Cinema, where we rate movies and TV shows from a casual perspective. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're finally back. We've been gone for a while. We're going to be reviewing the Marvels movie. And this movie has been through a lot. It's been through a lot when it comes to the box office, when it comes to reviews. It's definitely been bombed on. And throughout this video, at the end of this video, you'll see that we kind of have a different view when it comes to this movie. And I'll start off by saying that I thought this movie was okay. I didn't. It's by far not the best Marvel movie, and it's by far. I don't think it's one of the worst ones. I think it's middle of the pack. I don't think it's bad like how a Thor: The Dark World was. Or Thor of Love and Thunder was. I think it's a little bit middle of the pack. Kind of lower. You know, kind of lower tier, but not too low. But I thought this movie was okay for what it was. It was a very, you know, lighthearted movie, easygoing movie. We got a lot of wittiness from Kamala Khan's character, who I feel like was the star of the show. I really feel like her on-screen presence really brought a lot of life to this movie, and her dialogue and just the way she was fangirling, it felt natural, and I really appreciated that. And I wish I could say the same for Captain Marvel. I feel like she was kind of robotic a little bit, a little bit too stoic in a way. And I feel like Monica Rambeau's character kind of fell into the same trap. I would have liked to see a little bit more emotion from her as well. So I would just start. I also say, I feel like the writing in this movie was a little bit weird as well. I feel like there were some plot holes that they ripped themselves into, like uh, with the especially with the villain, where Captain Marvel basically destroyed her world of Hala. She destroyed the AI that ran their world and made it where it's just a dark and desolate place. And I'm kind of still confused on how, if she destroyed the AI, how did that affect the water and the atmosphere and the sun? But she destroyed basically their world and caused them to have a civil war. And the whole movie is the villain Darban, she's trying to get resources back to her home world to make it, feel normal again. And it turns out the whole time Captain Marvel just could have flew into their sun and everything would have been a little bit normal again. So I kind of feel like this movie did have a lot of kind of plot holes, but again, to me, it's just a movie that, doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just a lighthearted movie. It's just a filler. It's just something to connect the MCU to where it's going to go. It's currently in the multiverse saga right now, I believe. And it's just a filler, in my opinion. Not nothing too serious, but just a filler. So I'm gonna pass it on to you. How did you feel about this movie?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you said. This is definitely like a silly, goofy movie. Like how you said, didn't take itself too seriously. I feel like if it, and I'm glad it kind of didn't do that because if it tried to do that, that would have made the movie kind of bad. Where it's like we're gonna be silly, goofy, but we're gonna try to take ourselves seriously, kind of like how Thor and Love and Thunder did. So and that kind of would have made it, but it understood the silliness to it, and I love the dynamic. I kind of actually disagree, not disagree, but like partially disagree with your take on Captain Marvel. I felt like she was a little less robotic than how she was in the first Captain Marvel movie, which I kind of defended her for, just for the fact, I explained this to you earlier that, imagine if you found out this wasn't your real life and, you're propped up as this hero and then you find out that you had a whole life outside before this and they took you away from it and whatever. So it's like, but I'm not saying I didn't like Brie Larson's performance, but I liked it way better in this one. And I liked Monica too. I kind of wish they expanded a little bit more on, I don't know if they really needed to, but I kind of wish they kind of expanded a little bit, or created some kind of development between Monica and Carol, where it's
Yeah.
like they have to work through their issues, where Captain Marvel really could have, tried to gain Monica's trust back. Because, like, when Monica would be upset about Carol not being there when her mom died or whatever, it's like all of a sudden, like another scene later, like they'd be like, oh, like we're friends again or whatever, and I feel like that's kind of unrealistic for the fact that there's someone there who still holds a grudge to another person. And I like they resolved it in a very I thought kind of nice way. But they definitely could have dove into that a little bit deeper. and then have Kamala kind of be like the peace bringer of all the three, because she definitely was. I think that she kind of avoided all this the main tension. And I thought the scene where, Kamala hugs, Monica after she finds out about her mom was kind of like nice, and sweet because how many heroes probably just don't get those kind of hugs, after something like that. They just kind of gotta, just toughen up and just move on, but no, she just kind of showed a nice emotion. Definitely Kamala is definitely the MVP of this movie. Her and her family, were very funny. They brought a nice tone of this movie. I like how her family is, incredibly realistic, because it kind of felt like, I don't mean to, change topics too much, but like the way kind of Aunt May treated how Peter Parker was Spider-Man was, kind of unrealistic. Where I kind of be, if I was in her shoes, I'd be a little bit more worried, that he's Spider-Man and all the shit, all the stuff that goes on in the MCU. So, but just I love the dynamic. Like I said earlier, I love the dynamic between Monica, Kamala, and Carol. One of my favorite scenes with them is when they're on the ship and they're trying to figure out how to, you know, use their swapping powers to their advantage. I like that. It was just a nice, funny, goofy scene. But I definitely do feel you on the writing portion. It felt a little bit rushed. And with the way they were marketing this film, they could definitely tell that it was definitely going to, bomb. I don't know if that's necessarily fair to the Marvels, just for the fact that they couldn't promote the film, so meaning the actors, so they couldn't really get you hyped. So the average person really might have not have known that the Marvels was coming out. I don't know how much interest it would have gotten just because a lot of people made up their minds before they saw this movie, so and I didn't. Me and you didn't. We both went in just seeing what the movie was like. I mean, that's what we always do. We don't go in expecting, this, that, and the third. We just go in and watch the movie and then review how we feel about it, but a lot of people don't do that. So people hated this movie before it was probably even announced. Like they just the thought of Captain Marvel 2 was just gonna piss them off. So but we weren't like that. Captain Marvel 1 isn't my favorite movie. It's not that movie's not that bad either, but a few things could have helped this movie in my opinion, like maybe the expansion on Dar-Ben's character. You could have really used Kamala's family as a weapon against them, because you're growing to like them throughout the Miss Marvel show and in the Marvels as well, and you really could have had that being used against them. In my opinion, put them a little bit more in danger, maybe getting kidnapped by Dar-Ben or whatever, kind of put the fear into Kamala, that she's kind of gonna be like, all right, well, now they got my family. Now we gotta really like work together and be serious about this, kind of make it a little bit more personal, and I really felt like Dar-Ben didn't really make it that personal. If they would have led kind of with the fact that she's going after the home worlds or the planets where people she cares about the most are, I kind of would have been a little bit more like, okay, this is a little bit more interesting, but you know, like we were talking about earlier, they kind of wrote it in a way where it kind of sounded like Captain Marvel was the villain in a way, and Dar-Ben's plan was kind of understandable, but not at the same time, because I mean, you don't really want to steal resources from others, but they were stripped of those resources, so I genuinely do like the movie, it's not like I said, it's not like peak MCU or whatever, but I thought it was a nice, fun project, and I think people are just kind of blown it out of proportion, in my opinion. Like they think this is the worst thing they've ever seen. It's like, how many movies have you really watched then? So like, and Thor: Love and Thunder, I didn't really like that movie, to be honest, and I thought that this was better than that movie. I thought it was better than Quantumania. Um, I thought Quantumania had the better villain, obviously Kang. But I thought the Marvels was definitely the better movie out of not the best movie to come out for Marvel this year. I think that's
Guardians of the
between Guardians of the Galaxy and Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I mean that's my opinion of the movie. So far, not so far, but after seeing it.
Yeah, and also to touch back on the villain, I feel like she was probably one of the weakest MCU
Yeah,
villain ever. And I will say, even herself, it didn't really feel like she knew what she was doing when she was using, the bangle thing. She was just ripping holes, in places. well, obviously she wanted to rip the holes to get resources, but it didn't really feel like she knew how to control it. She
Right.
never really seemed like a threat, and once, the Marvels, adjusted to their powers and figure out how to use them at the same time, they pretty much incapacitated her very easily. She
Right.
didn't feel like a threat. She just felt like a Dollar Tree version of a copy and pasted Ronan the Accuser. She didn't really feel like a big threat. And again, I'm willing to overlook that because the movie itself doesn't take itself too seriously, but you know, that is a concern. The MCU villains have been kind of lackluster, besides Kang. But the MCU villains can be lackluster sometimes. And I'm hoping in future projects, and especially the shows, I'm bringing the shows in this as well. They can be a little bit better with that, you know. And also, I feel like this movie did a great job in, again, touching back on Kamala Khan's character, did a great job of introducing us to her because I'll be honest, this was probably a lot of people's first time seeing her. I don't think a lot of people really watched the Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus like that. I don't even think a lot of people probably saw WandaVision like that either. They probably, obviously, more people probably watched it than Miss Marvel, but I feel like this show did a great job in really introducing her character. And we kind of see towards the end, she's recruiting other Avengers, into, the young Avengers, hopefully, that we'll see later on in the movie. So I feel like, they did a great job in, really introducing her character. And, like we both said, she was a star of the show. Honestly, I want to see more of her. I really, was enjoying her charisma. It kind of felt in a way like Peter Parker. I'm not saying that now obviously no one can replace him, but it kind of felt that way. And I feel like that's the direction that they might be going for a character. So it's just another
Yep.
take that I have.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna lie, I thought the action sequences were pretty well done.
Hmm.
The CGI was okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I mean, there were some scenes that looked a little weird, but I thought the action sequences were pretty good. I will
Yeah.
say though, Kamala's powers did look kind of weird to me. I don't know. It's just the whole crystallized thing. I never seen the show, so I wasn't really used to that. I'm used to her, character in the comics. She's like elastic, kind of like how Mr. Fantastic is, but her powers did seem kind of weird to me. I'm hoping that, maybe they can get a better graphics package in the future, maybe kind of touch that up a bit. But, other than that, like I said, I didn't really take this movie too seriously. I just took it for what it was. And that was just a great movie, a movie you could take your family to, a movie you could take your girlfriend to. And, like how you mentioned earlier, I remember you talked to me earlier about a guy on Twitter. He took his kid to this movie and she liked it. It was just a lighthearted movie,
Right.
to enjoy.
Right. I
You know,
agree.
is there any other things you have to say about this movie?
Yeah, I like how they didn't like how do I say this? Like you didn't have to watch the shows that preluded it. You just kind of understood what was happening, in my opinion. And they caught you up really well. They explained how Kamala got her powers, and they explained how Monica got her powers, and why Fury's up in Saber and all that stuff. So um you know they Marvel made sure that we didn't have to watch shows for the movies. You didn't have to pay for the Disney Plus subscription for that. It would just be like rewarding if you did. And I've watched all the shows. I've watched every episode. I have my favorites. I have my non-favorites. Um, Please don't make me watch Secret Invasion again if you ever want to review that. But I'm serious. I'm not even joking. I'm genuinely. That is one of the worst pieces of. Anyway, to not get distracted. I know this movie has went through a lot. From reshoots and rewrites, and I didn't really like I wasn't like feeling the scene on Aladdin with the singing planet. Like that part was a little weird.
Ooh,
Um, I really hope they don't go back there, to be honest. But you know, it offered up a pretty cool fight scene, between Dar-Benn, Monica, and Captain Marvel. But let's please not go back there. And if we do, like, have them only speak and not in song, I mean, I'm glad how much time they were there was fine. If they did it any longer though, it'd have been a little bit of a hard watch and kind of cringe territory, in my opinion. But Brie Larson's got vocals. I didn't know that. So I don't know if that was dubbed over or whatever, but if that's truly her, then she can sing pretty good. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. So wasn't she like in a like a band or something like that in 21 Jump Street, or was that another movie?
It was like a drama class. They were like in a drama class or
Or
something.
maybe I swear there was a show or a movie where she was in a band or something like that. I could be wrong. That was like earlier in her career, but I just didn't know that she could sing like that. So she did pretty good there. But I'm glad that they didn't stay there for very long. So thank you, Kamal, for hitting that jump point. But you know, I guess we really got to get into that post credit scene though. How
Yeah.
did you feel about that?
And I just wanted to, kind of touch back on the Latina. It kind of felt like it was Beauty and the Beast. Like they were switching
Right,
to another whole Disney movie. But
right.
I hope they don't do that again. But the post credit scene, you know, I was honestly surprised, to see Monica Rambeau get shipped to the X-Men universe. I was surprised to see the Beast. And I felt like it's funny because I felt like that was the most exciting part of the movie. And I'm not trying to hate, but I mean, I'm just being honest. I was really, thrown aback by that. I was really surprised. I mean, there hasn't been X-Men movie since 2017 or 2018, I believe, and you know, a lot of fans have been clamoring to see them back in MCU. And so I'm excited to see what they do, with, bringing them to the Earth 616 timeline. I
Oh yeah.
know I read earlier that Darban, basically is caused the incursion to happen in the future. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Well,
What
they were
do you think
going to
about
cause an incursion. They fixed it
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
But definitely in the early stages of an incursion. And those are some this is some key terms you really gotta learn before Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars and all that. For anybody watching this video, is incursions, multiverse, universe, the X-Men, especially if you only are an MCU fan. I gotta catch up on all the X-Men movies too. So, you know, uh I for me though, the post-credit scene, it definitely was exciting. It really it offers up, like how I was telling you, if they're going to have incursions in Kang Dynasty with other universes, let us care about the other universes. You know,
yeah,
don't let it be some unknown Earth 721 or whatever, that we've never seen before. Have it be an Earth that we've seen, that we've been there and can care about, to where it's not like, obviously with an incursion, one Earth has to really make the decision what they want to do, whether they should destroy the other world, to make sure theirs survives. So you could really put the emotion into that. So like, you have Earth 838 from Doctor Strange, the heroes, like we've been there for a little bit. We care maybe about Christine, and maybe the other X-Men if we see them, like Sue Storm, for example, who lost her husband, and I believe it's Sue Storm. Is it Sue Storm?
yep,
I'm
Sue
wrong.
Storm.
Yeah, okay. I thought I was wrong. I haven't seen any of the Fantastic Four movies, but and then
Thank
obviously I heard they're bad. So maybe I shouldn't watch them, and I should just watch the one that comes out in a few years. But you know, what and then the Earth in the end of the Marvels, whatever Earth that is,
Yeah.
we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I heard maybe the Fantastic Four movie will take place on a different multiverse. So very interesting, very, very interesting. And it would definitely offer up a little bit more for us to care about other universes than 616, because obviously we're going to care about MCU 616. We've watched this in 2008, but at least let us remotely care about the other universes, where it's like they have cool heroes and maybe they got a Miles, or maybe they got, a Wolverine, or they got an Iron Man variant who's awesome or whatever, just something like that. So you got to really make us care about the universes. You can't just say like, I mean, obviously morally you will care, but like it's not real life, so it's a movie, so you're not going to be like, oh my god, those people died, but like real life it would be like, oh my god, those people died, why are we killing them? But in the movies it would be like, oh my god, those people died, like why'd they do
Right.
that? Like it's so, but if we care about them, it'll be like in real life, like, oh my god, those people are going to die, why are we going to do that? So um I really hope they go in that direction where they show more of the universes. So hopefully Doctor Strange 3 comes out before Kang Dynasty, so that we get to see him travel the multiverse and get to see other universes or Earths or whatever on the multiverse. in the multiverse, I should say. So that's how I feel with the post credit scene and going forward. And how do you? Speaking of that, I mean, how are you confident going forward with Marvel, knowing everything that's going on? Really, with Jonathan Majors and the backlash they've received from their movies and shows, and like how do you feel going forward? Like, do you even think we're gonna get to the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars without a war ourselves to even just have good movies?
You know, I'm not gonna lie. As of right now, I don't really feel like we're gonna get to Kang Dynasty. I remember earlier today we read reports that the writer was dismissed for the Kang
Thank
the
God.
Kang Wars
Kang Dynasty.
Kang Dynasty movie, Kang Wars, Kang Dynasty movie. The writer was dismissed, and it seems like the MCU is like, I don't believe that Jonathan Majors court case has really started yet, and it seems like the MCU is kind of being impatient. It seems like they want to be sure of something right now, how to move forward with. And this is obviously an ongoing case that hasn't really started yet. Feels like
Right.
they're getting impatient and might want to look somewhere else. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get that Kang Dynasty movie. And that's just going to be very messy. They're going to have to find a way to
Right.
really pull the strings together and make it make sense. Like what happened to Kang? They've been kind of setting it up in Loki, and it
Mhm.
would be ashamed if it didn't come through. So
Right.
I honestly, I don't think the Kang Dynasty is going to happen, and it's a bummer because Jonathan Majors is a great actor. Despite all the stuff that's been on his name, I think he's a good actor, and I would have liked to see more of Kang because I do agree with some people saying, he was defeated, in Quantumania. And if he's supposed to be the next big bad, like how Thanos was, we would have liked to see a more menacing and more powerful, more, invincible feeling, than what he was in Quantumania. So, I'm hoping that, things can get resolved. It seems very slim, but I wouldn't be surprised if it falls apart and they end up going with Doctor Doom or something. How
Right.
do you
I
feel?
agree. I don't know, man. I think that I mean, no matter how I feel about him as a person or as an actor, I think justice needs to be served. Whatever they decide is who's guilty or not or whatever. But if he is found not guilty, then I really would like to see him, continue on. I really liked the way he played Kang the Conqueror. I like the way he plays He Who Remains. I like the play he plays Victor Timely. But I don't know if you've seen Loki season 2 yet, but I like the Victor Timely variant. He seems like a good guy, which is like crazy in the grand scheme of things. But He Who Remains is totally not a good guy, and Kang the Conqueror is totally not a good guy. So I like he's played them all very well. And but if he is found guilty and he is thrown in jail, for however long, then I don't even want to move on to Doom. I want to see more of Kang. You could really have an opportunity to bring in a lot of talented actors to play variants of Kang. You know, so like an older version of Kang, played by an older person, like I don't know, like Denzel Washington or whatever, who didn't like get involved in the Kang War, and then a younger version, like played by I forgot that guy's name. Um, he's in the Star Wars movies. It's
Oh,
like
Boyega, John
yeah,
Boyega.
him. Yes, him, or something like that. I know that was a popular name being floated around. So you have younger variants, you could have middle age variants, older variants, evil variants, good variants. There's a lot of them. So, but they need to make you feel that fear that's like they're really coming and they're really going to wreak havoc.
Yeah.
So they haven't really done that yet in a way. I think Loki's did a good job with it, but um it's still at the end of the day a 6 episode series. So I think that this really is diverted into something different. I think from the Miss Marvel review, but in all seriousness, they need to make you feel threatened by him. Where it's like, we can't have him sit on his ass like Thanos. How it was up until Infinity War. And I mean, you can't. I don't know if you're gonna be able to strike lightning twice in a bottle to make him a great villain in the Avengers movies. Like the point of him is to build him up, to make him scary, to make the Avengers fear him and us fear him. And I think Kang the Conqueror is a scary villain, but they just haven't really wrote him very well, especially in Quantumania. I thought they wrote him well in the Loki series, but that's really all they've done good with him so far. So and he needs to pop up more than just in these few series, like TV shows, whatever. He needs to pop up in movies, like have a movie before Kang Dynasty where an Avenger gets caught into a multiverse or whatever, kind of like how Monica is, and that's where all the Kangs are hiding out, and like they needed him there because when he leaves to go back home to Earth 616, that's a portal opening to get to the main MCU timeline where all the Kangs want to be. So I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna write it. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I hope they do it right.
Yeah. So now I think it's time, that we, rate, the Marvels movie on our casual scale. So, I'll start first. I'll give this movie a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. So what do you think? What do you rate this on your casual scale?
I'm already in the same range, 6.5. It could have definitely been a 7, if they, expanded on a few things, but I think 6.5 is a fair score, in my opinion. I thought it was a nice, fun movie. And definitely, like you said, a movie you could take out your family, your girlfriend, your friend, your best friend. Well, you took me, I guess. So yeah. Nice family movie that you could take the whole bunch to see.
Yeah, and maybe if Marvel was able to right the ship, and in the years down the line, maybe people look back at this movie and be a little bit more appreciative, But right now, we got to see it for what it is, and both of us said 6 out of 10, 6.5. So, that's what we think here at Casual Cinema. So, yeah, that's the review that we have for the Marvels. We want to do we want to introduce a new idea for this channel for Flashback Fridays for some movies. So we're going to revisit some older movies and do some reviews.
Right.
We're aiming this Friday to do one. So we're going to make sure that gets out to you guys. I promise. We've been gone for a while, but we're feeding you. We're going to feed you. I promise. So it feels good to be back. Doesn't it feel good to be back, man? It feels good to be back.
Yep.
It feels good to be back. So, that was the review for the Marvels.
Before I just want to say this one last thing. If you do not like the movie, don't shame anybody else for liking it.
Yeah.
And another thing, if you don't like this movie for the movie itself and not anything else in particular, then please do your review. Say what you have to say, but don't continue to expand on the idea of how terrible the movie is in your eyes. Like, we get it. You don't like this movie, and you're showing a side to you that you probably don't want to show on the internet. So, like I said, if you don't like this movie, don't shame anybody else for liking it. If somebody doesn't like it for their reasons, like they don't think it's just a good movie, like structure wise or whatever, or acting wise, like don't shame them for that either. So let everybody have their opinions and just relax, people. Like, for real. Like, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. But we're gonna wrap this up here. This has been honestly a great movie review. It's like I said, it's really good to be back. But make sure you check out our social medias, our Twitter. We're gonna be on our TikTok. I think. Just make sure to check us out. Make sure. But we're your hosts, TJ and Jared, Casual Cinema, and we're out.
We're out.